welcome back to, or if this is your first time, welcome to Ampersand Unique Gifts and Home Decor. Today I've got a couple upcycles that are some thrifted items that have been hiding out in our shop, and I'm working through the stash trying to get all of the furniture out so that I can have a little bit more room to work. So let's get started and we'll show you what I did today.
Well, here's project number one. This is a cabinet that my daughter got. She was going to refinish it and actually use it next to her bed, and then she never finished it, and it has sat in the shop for a couple years. It's been, it has a light coat of gray spray paint, and then I don't know if she ran out or if she just got bored. The glass is out of it, but we do have the glass, and then it also has a shelf that goes in the middle, and we do have the shelf. So we're going to go ahead and see what we can do to get this finished up and get it ready for market.
So I started with just giving everything a really good sand with some 220 sandpaper. I just wanted to smooth out any texture, anything from that spray paint, so that when I painted it, you wouldn't be able to see it. So then I gave it a good wash.
When I was wiping it down, I discovered that the knob was, I can get it part of the way out. So I just went ahead and pulled it out and sanded where it had a little bit of paint buildup. But here you can see that apparently before it was black, which is the color that it was when my daughter picked it up. I think it was at a yard sale. I can't remember if it was a thrift store or a yard sale. But apparently it looks like it might have been red at some point. So it is not real wood. It is MDF, and it has this corner. Like you can see, I've been using shipwreck wax. You can see my reel and see why my hands are copper and teal. Anyway, so the corner is gone, and technically, you know, I mean, the right way to fix it, of course, would be to build it up using Bondo or some other hard product. But given that it is MDF and it's not really like an antique or anything fancy, we're going to make it, the top is rounded. We're actually just going to sand it off and make them match where they are round. And that way it doesn't look like a piece is missing and it looks like a mismatch. So we're going to go ahead and fix that now.
So easy peasy, just sanding it with my little mouse sander here. And I made the corners match each other, and then they also match the rounded edge around the top. So we're going to paint the inside of it white. So not only am I trying to get projects that are half finished out of here, I'm trying to get product that is on the shelves used up, and so that I don't have the old paint sitting around. So I'm just using a chip brush, painted the inside of the cabinet with this Rustolem chalked paint in the white linen white something, but it unfortunately, because of that slippery inside, it really was not the greatest. So to avoid that same thing happening on the outside, I gave it a good coat of shellac, and I went ahead and shellacked everywhere before using my fusion paint in the color Heirloom. And this was the most just perfect blue, green, teal, and I painted everything on the outside with this color. Got in all the grooves. I'm using a pointed tip paintbrush, and then I just look at this coverage. It has a built-in sealer, and it just covered beautifully. So now you can see we're getting that white we were looking for on the inside. And I also did change to a Worcester brush. But look, this is the second coat. I really don't think I would have needed one, but I did go ahead and give it that. So now I'm lightly sanding. I'm not going for a distressed look necessarily, but I'm lightly sanding the outside. I just wanted to smooth out any places that maybe were a little bit rough, and it's okay if it had a little bit of some distressing. And then I'm using the Varathane finishing wax. That's just what I had on hand in the shop, and I'm just going to give it all a really good coat of that wax, because then I'm going to switch over to the Fusion brown wax, and I wanted to get in all those little grooves just to kind of age it a little bit. Again, I'm trying to take this MDF, not old cabinet, and give it that old worn look, and I really love the way that was. I just stuck it in there. This is just an old, a child's paintbrush. I have a whole big pack of them. I bought at a yard sale. Anyway, cram it in there, and then I just take a rag and wipe it back so that it kind of tones down the paint a little bit, but it also leaves that dark in there. So here we go. Let's move on. So back in my stash, I have this like child's vanity desk, and the legs were loose, and that was an easy fix. I gave everything a really good cleaning. However, what you're seeing on there is actually overspray because this has been stored in my spray tent. So, of course, obviously it has overspray. And I am going to give it all a really good coat of primer. This is the Zinsser primer. And then here, what I discovered is that there apparently had been some kind of repair, and it left a really goofy texture. And so I needed to sand that down, get that smooth so that you couldn't see the zigzags. All right, so we're going to use that same Rustolem chalked paint in the linen white. I'm going to give the entire piece 2 coats. The paint covered really well. Here I am getting some kind of chunk out of it, wiping it on the drop cloth, aka old tablecloth. But with that primer, and I wasn't trying to get full coverage with the primer, but you can see how well that chalked paint covered after we did the primer. It gave it kind of something to stick to. And I did a light distress over the entire piece just to kind of give it a little character. It was so white, and I wanted to give it a little bit of age, maybe look like something that had been passed down through the generations and been in a little girl's room for 100 years. To avoid everything looking a little too distressed, I did everything by hand. I didn't use any of my electric sanders, and I just used some 220 sandpaper. I went ahead and gave it a good sanding everywhere to smooth it out, and then just a little bit extra distress. I did the same spray paint and then the Rustolem paint on the frame for the mirror. Gave everything a really good waxing with that Varathane clear wax. I did not use the dark wax on this one. I kept everything just with that clear. And then I found a wrought iron stool in my stash. We painted that white with some spray paint. And then using this really pretty Vera Bradley quilted fabric, I gave this stool new cushions, new batting, and new fabric. Obviously not a professional upholsterer, but I thought it turned out really well. I just sort of cut as I went and made sure everything was the right size, folded it under, and stapled with my staple gun. Then we put it back on the stool with the original screws, and I really love the way both these projects came out. Let me know in the comments which was your favorite.
I'm holding on, if almost gone. Someday I